What's up, everybody? I hope everybody could hear me. It's been a while, and the last stream, like an idiot, I set it to private, and I was like, oh, it's quiet, no one's saying any comments, no one's saying anything. But anyway, I'm glad to be back to live streaming, because it's always nice to hang out with you guys and chill. So we'll see how tonight goes, but today, we're on this Tuesday night live stream. We talk about coding. Obviously, it's very important to continue to build your projects, and I'm a big fan of Strapi, right? And that's no surprise to a lot of you guys, but I do want to make a case for it, why I think it's useful for those of you who are just starting out and want to make a full stack application, but also don't want to do all the work yourself from scratch. And this will allow you to focus on, focusing on the front end. And also another case I'd like to make for Strapi and why it's useful is because I've been making a transition into back-end development, and Strapi, believe it or not, has been a really good learning tool from two standpoints. Number one, it's open source, so you could look at the code whenever you want on GitHub, and you could see how it's done, how it's built. And what's cool, I really like the patterns that they use. I'm still no expert of back-end development just yet. I know a little bit, but making headway in getting there. And what I like about it is I really like a lot of patterns that Strapi is using. And so when I do work on, creating APIs with Express or Node, or in my case, I'm working on a small Koa project, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Seeing how it's done in Strapi is pretty awesome. But anyway, if you guys could hear me, let me know in the chat. If you could see me, I don't think I made this stream private, which it shouldn't be, but I want to talk about, I want to show you kind of like all the cool things you could do and why you should try Strapi. I mean, you could do whatever you want. I just enjoy it because for me, I look at it this way. If I need to build something, and if there's something exists that makes my development much easier, why not use it? So I could save my time to focus on learning things that, are more important to me. You know what I mean? And so I think it's kind of cool that Strapi kind of allows you to create like 80% of the sites. And you see a lot of e-commerce store sites. You see a lot of, blogging sites. And I'm going to show you kind of what I did as an experiment. If you watched my live stream, you saw that the project we're building with Strapi 3, but Strapi 4 is out, and so I want to kind of showcase Strapi 4 for you guys. And also, we started last stream converting our previous project to use a Strapi 4. And again, if you are a web developer, I'm going to show you a couple examples here, right? And you're starting out, and your first website is going to be something super simple, right? It's going to be like a basic HTML and CSS website. And obviously, when you're starting out, there's nothing wrong with that. But, what does the site do? It just shows stuff, right? So your first project, could be a very simple portfolio site without any functionality, right? Because you're using HTML and CSS or something like that. And what's cool about using Strapi, right? You could start making dynamic websites where you could add content dynamically, and you could add other additional functionality. So if you're just starting out, right, you might have a project, something along the lines like this one here, right? And it's just a very basic website. And sometimes, right, when you're starting out, you'll build something like this, so make it responsive. But all this content here, right, it might be hard-coded because you don't have a backend, you don't have an API that you're calling, right? And what's cool, here's another project I'm working on. It's not done yet, but this data here, like these blog posts, they're being generated from the Strapi API, which is kind of awesome because I could quickly set up a backend, which allows me to actually go into the backend UI and add content, or you could handle all that functionality from your front-end application. It's kind of cool because then instead of focusing on constantly, okay, let me build the backend from scratch or what have you, just use Strapi, right? There is a saying, if you want to be happy, use Strapi. So I really been enjoying it, and you could see some example projects. So this one is much nicer looking because I'm using Tailwind, and Tailwind is amazing. But a lot of times when I'm building projects, I don't focus on CSS right away because I'm more interested in functionality. So recently, I've been working on a project which I keep telling that we're going to work on building a bug tracker. So I wanted to kind of jump into Strapi 4 and test a few things out. So I did actually, not only did I build a very simple application, but I also deployed it, because I know a lot of people, you know, they have like painful, oh, Strapi is so hard to deploy. On Heroku, the newest Strapi 4 version, it wasn't that hard to deploy, and I deployed it, and here it is running on my Heroku application. You know, I could open my app and we could see the backend of Strapi. I could log in. So, and it's running Postgresql backend database. And Hologram is here saying hello. Hey, my man, good to see you. I'm switching screens. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, so man, I've been rusty. I've been working so much, so busy at work. And this is why I want to come back to this live stream, because the truth is, and here's the application that I'm going to showcase for you guys in just a second. It's like a simple bug tracker that we built. But the one thing that I want to say, coming back to why I do at least the Tuesday night stream, because the whole point is you guys have to be building stuff from start to finish, and you have to be building applications that not just like some static HTML CSS site, but they have some sort of functionality. Maybe you could add content, or you're at least able to showcase full CRUD functionality, create, read, update, and delete. And when you're first starting out building a full stack application, I don't recommend it. It's not as easy as people think. And maybe you'll be able to build out a simple server, but there's, you know, things that you have to worry about if you're going to deploy the application. You know, authentication, making sure stuff is secure. How do you handle the database and everything else? And that's why I like using a CMS. And Strapi is one of my favorites because it is open source, right? It's free. You don't have to pay for it. You could just go ahead and use it. You could learn more about it by going to strapi.io. And one thing that I would say about if you've been on my streams, is that you know that I love them, and you know that I use them all the time for my personal projects. But what's cool about doing Strapi, and it's highly customizable, because you could override their custom controllers. If you're working with GraphQL, you could create your own you know, GraphQL definitions, queries, resolver. So there's a lot of high customization. And I don't say this to you like, oh, look, you gotta have to buy Strapi. You don't buy it, it's free. But what I'm saying is that by using Strapi all the time, and I'll show you a quick example in code. Here's is this my, no, this is my other application. Let me find so here is the, I'm just trying to see which one is which one. Yeah, here's the Strapi application here. And what's interesting here, I'll just want to zoom in here. Like, I'm just saying you from the standpoint of learning. Let me make sure here I'm on the right. I have so many different things open. So yeah, and what's awesome here is that you could take a look at all the files. You could see the folders, and this is something that I like here, this pattern where they have the API folder, and when you open it, you have your you know, document, item, project. Those are all the controllers or items that are in your database. And if you open it, they have this controller, route, services, and I like this pattern of kind of like this file structure. So what I did is I set up a Koa server and application, and I'm kind of learning based on, you know, Strapi patterns, and I'm implementing the same thing. And what's cool about Strapi is they have this dynamic, and this is actually like in Strapi here, they generate the routes dynamically, meaning it is generated from a JSON file. And I was like, well, how do they do this? And you know, I took a look, and to my best guesstimate, I decided in my own backend server here, and this is like very simple. We have only, you know, I'm kind of following the Strapi kind of pattern here. I have the API. So far I only have posts, but for posts we have this config file, right? And it's a JSON file which has the route, the controller that it wants to use, and the action that you want to perform. And I created that controller, right? And I have find one, create, all that basic logic. And right now I'm not writing to the database because this is just a, you know, learning app here. I'm not worried. I'm going to add Postgres later, but using kind of what I learned from Strapi in my own personal backend project, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, if I write a function here, I could dynamically generate my routes. So what's cool is instead of typing my routes and defining them individually like I do here, what I would do is just go to my config file here and I would add an additional route. So if I needed another route, I just like copy and paste and add, you know, whatever route that I need, and it'll automatically, which I think is kind of cool. And I picked up this pattern from experimenting and playing with Strapi. But we have Jose here. What's up? Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Glad that you guys are here and slowly getting back into live streaming. I've been so busy with work. I guess I shouldn't complain because it's nice. But anyway, I hope you guys coming back to why this stream is important, and mostly let's just talk together. And if you guys have questions, definitely ask questions, because I might try to like answer your questions, and we'll look at the code as well too. But it's been a while. I was trying to implement the comment reply thread for a week and just figured it out. Might be easy for other devs, but it was the hardest feature I've encountered, adding replies to replies. Oh my God. Yeah, that sounds, I'm sure it's not that easy. You know what I mean? Like, one thing I'm going to say, coding, even when things seem straightforward, sometimes like you'll run into issues which you're like, what the heck? But yeah, implementing comments, that's awesome. Like in my application that we were working on, community one project, is I did like super basic implementation of that, because I was just like, man, to make a robust commenting, it's not a easy peasy task. But but I hope you guys are doing awesome. And so first thing I want to show you the application that we've been slowly going through and building on the stream. So this is our dev hunt project that we've been building. It's slowly coming along. Yeah, don't worry about the UI. And I have some users on here, by the way. I see some people like adding their projects, and you could see like the detailed section. It's kind of cool. You could leave bugs. I still got to fix stuff. So the issue with this application currently is that it was done with Strapi 3, and I've been kind of slowly building this application that Strapi 4 is out. And so I was like, you know what, let's convert this into to use Strapi 4. So that's going to be the goal, but that's not going to be as easy as I thought, because there's lots of different changes. So what I would say, if you're starting a project, just start with Strapi 4 right away. And you could make a simple website, which you could use your Strapi application to power it, like I'm doing in this example. But what you could do, you could add some sort of functionality that will kind of make it more than just a regular website. And I know a lot of people are like, okay, let's create like an e-commerce store, let's create a blogging page. But what are you really doing there? You're either adding products and people could click on them to put in their shopping cart and buy. In terms of like moving parts, from challenging, it's kind of like, I mean, if you're starting out, of course everything's challenging, but like I would suggest like doing something that's got a lot of more moving parts, because at the end of the day, when you're going to be working on a company, you're going to be working on an application that has a lot of moving parts. And so everything that I focus on, the project that we're building here and this new project that I'm starting out, it's all based on the type of tasks that I'm being asked to do at work, which is not only creating an application which just shows data or information, but creating an application where you have a bunch of functionality. So I'll show you what I've built with Strapi 4 in just a moment, but let me look at the comments. And Jose says, I've been out of the game for weeks now. Strapi looks interesting. Yeah, Strapi is pretty awesome. Let me tell you, because here's why it's awesome. So let me go to my Netlify here. I might have it open already. Okay, so Netlify, which one's like blah, blah, blah. So I basically deployed this application on Netlify, and let me log out. And I deployed the backend. I deployed it on Heroku. So here, let me share my screen. So this is what I'm talking about. When you're building an application, you want to have some sort of sense of like authentication and full CRUD functionality. And now I'll share the links to this project if you guys want to check it out or clone it and add to this. But basically the front end is React Router 6, Apollo client for GraphQL. So basically React. I think if you getting sick of React, and not sick from the standpoint that you just don't want to do React. But from the point that you built already 2 to 3 projects with React, doing something with Next.js would be the normal site. So this is my Next.js website that I'm working on. But if you're learning, I would say HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and then Next.js, and then using Strapi to be able to create an API, it makes a really good choice. But let's go back to our application here. So here's an application I made. You could either log in or you could create a user, and I'll create like a dummy user. Why not? I don't know if I have any. Let's throw this picture in here. I am test user, and let's do React developer, right? Email, I'm gonna do dummy email, test user at email. Sounds good. You know, I use that one a lot. And for password, we'll do test user. And normally, you know, you would want to use a real email, but for now, for testing purposes, I'll just put a fake one. And eventually what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace this to use GitHub authentication. But for now, from standpoint of kind of working, so when you click create account, it's going to break. And I know why it's broken, because I believe test user at email is already taken. So I'll do another test user. And I need to do better error handling, but instead of saying internal server, another test user sounds good. So if I create account, so now boom, we created the account, and now you have this amazing application where you could, it's basically a simplified version of a bug tracker. You could add a project to this. So like I'll go add one real quick, put a picture, project name, my first project, hello project, and you can add a GitHub URL where the project lives, and the live preview for the website, but you don't need to. When you click add project, it's going to upload our image, and it's going to create the project. And now you see here we have our project. And so the point is, we have our basic image, we could go to like the live preview of the website of the project that I put here, and now I'm able to add my bugs, right? And so what I'm trying to get to, when you're building a project, you don't want to just keep like a simple, when you're starting out, I get it, and this is what I did as well, but the basic HTML and CSS site, or basic website that just presents information. But as you could see just from the few simple things here, we already covered authentication. We already kind of covering the full CRUD functionality, because I just added a project. We could add a bug. I'm just gonna randomly click stuff here because I hate typing. Some bug, right? We could set the priority high because it's really need to be done critical. Let's call it a bug, and click add bug. And now we have our bug. We could set it to open, and all of this stuff, by the way, it gets saved to the database. So if I log out, right, that's living in my Postgres database. So if I log in, and I think I called it another test user, right? Test user. I should probably write my password correctly, test user, and log in. And boom, again, we have our project. I could see the bugs that I have. I could add another project, right? We could set it to close because I completed the thing. We could see basic stuff. I could edit this, React, you know. So basically, this application took me a couple of days to make, and I know it's not that impressive, but the point is we have full CRUD functionality, we have authentication, and what's cool is I don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to build a backend from start to finish, especially if I'm focusing on front-end development at this point. And in my case, from development perspective, learning to code, there's so much stuff to learn that it's impossible to learn everything at once, especially if you go the JavaScript route in terms of learning the front-end dev and then learning the backend with Node.js, or even Python for matter of fact. It's a lot of stuff because you need to know the front end, and then you start working on learning the back end. And with something like Strapi, you're able to quickly set it up. And I will show you, I have so many tabs open, but I'm going to show you where, you know, my Strapi instance is deployed. And what's cool is when you're working with it, you have this. So we had our project that I showed you, right? We had our website, but your backend for Strapi, it comes with its own UI. And yes, hologram, I'm using JWT for authentication. And the cool thing with Strapi, there's a couple of different ways to do authentication. I'm kind of working on the simplest kind of way, just using JWT token. But here's the UI that you get with Strapi UI. And what's cool is any content that I add, you know, I could see here. And what's awesome, let's say you're building a big project and you want to have editors who are going to be managing the content that people add or what have you. You could have them manage it from Strapi UI. Now for me, that's not something I'm too interested in, but I like that we do have this backend where we're able to, you know, create new content types. Like for instance, in this project, we have items which are bugs, we have our projects, users, but if I wanted to create something like comments, look how easy it is for me to do. I just call it comments, blah, blah, blah. Did I already create comments? I wouldn't be surprised. Let me scroll here. No, I didn't. Why was it complaining? Comment. Oh, it should be comment, not comments. Not comment. Comments. I can't spell. Comment. Continue. And then now, like, what should a comment have? It should have a, you know, text field. Make it long text. We'll call it like body. You know, add another field. What other field should a comment have? Maybe it should have the date that was, like, I don't have to add a date because it will have created at date, but you could add a date. But bam, I have my comment already. I could click finish here. And what I could do here is I could, it probably would be nice if a comment is associated with a user. So you could easily add relationships. If you hit relationships, we'll say author, and then it will be related to the user. And let's see, comment belongs to many users. No, a user has many comments. And let's say this author. Oh, I don't know how to use my mouse. So I have this Apple mouse. Every time I move the mouse, it just doesn't like it. I gotta replace my mouse. But add another field. We want to add a relationship, and we're going to say this is going to be relationship to our user, and we're going to call it author, and I'm going to finish and save. I just want to kind of show you here. So you could add more fields to this, but we have our body and we have the author for the comment. And let's say I will save. Make sure you save. Very important. Yeah, you could add a slug as well, for sure. You could add whatever you like, and I'll show you more. I'm just showing you a basic example. And what's cool now, I could go ahead and under my contents, like I'm gonna add a comment here, right? Create a new entry. This is my first comment, and I'm gonna say I'm the author, and create save. So boom, I have a comment. And what's awesome, you have this already available where you can make a request and get all the comments and get all the data. And the cool thing is you could go into roles and settings. We'll make the comments publicly available, and all the controllers, they're kind of private until you give permission. So I'm going to look up comments here, and I want to find one and find all, save. And now if I go to my, let me do here, local host. No, it's not the one. I'm going to show you two cool things here. So right now we could go to API/comments, I believe, and boom, we going to have. Oh, I didn't publish my comment. That's like one thing I always forget to do whenever you guys are adding data. Is don't forget to click publish. It's very common. I have too many things open. Let me close like a lot of these things for now. Let me close. Okay, so we'll check this out. You go to content types, go to comments, and see it's draft. You want to make sure that you publish. And now we publish, we gave permission to a controller. So now when I go here and I refresh, notice we have our comment. So this is awesome, right? Because now you literally have an API to which you could make requests. What I like about this is that you could use Postman and do traditional REST API stuff. But the thing that I get excited about, because we installed a GraphQL plugin, we have a GraphQL endpoint here. It helps if you spell it right, Paul. And well, come on, GraphQL. And so now we have our GraphQL playground. And what's awesome, all the items that I have here available, and let me make my screen bigger here so you guys could see. We have our queries, and we don't have too many items in here yet. But we have our comments, we have our items. So if I want to query all my items, and I'm actually going to do comments because comments are public, so make it easier as an example. And it kind of shows you how the queries are structured, what data it takes. And so what I could do is I could make GraphQL requests by doing a query. And we want to query comments, right? And we're not going to do any filters, and we will get back the data. And they did change how their GraphQL is structured, so we could get data, we could get the ID, and we could get the attributes. And the attributes that we created, you guys remember we had the body, and we had the author, and then for the author we have data. And they are doing a bunch of a lot of nesting in here, which is a little bit different from what Strapi 3 did, but it's okay. I could live with that. But we could get the first name and the last name. And what's cool is now we could use our GraphQL to get our data. And it's forbidden because I didn't make the controller open to public, which is okay. But the point is, you able to use Strapi. You could create your whole backend in a matter of minutes. Obviously, if you want to make it more customizable, it's going to take a lot more time. But you could also practice working with REST APIs, and you could also practice working with GraphQL. And this is something that I like. And like I mentioned before, I've been learning a lot about working with Strapi about the backend, that now I'm creating Node and Express backend APIs, and I'm working with Koa. And the reason why I like Koa is because that's what Strapi is using in the backend as well. And but anyway, here's the application that I recently built. And like I said, it took me a couple of days to do this. And what's awesome is you could add a project, you could track your bugs. And what's awesome, from start to finish, I basically deployed. Yes, it's kind of missing a lot of features, but here's the thing. This is the thing I want to tell you. I have basically a full stack application deployed. It has few features that are working. You guys could right now, if you like, guys, I'll share this link here. You guys could go and you could check it out, and you could create a user, you could log in. And you could add a project, and it works. So in a matter of 2 days, I basically deployed an application live to Heroku and Netlify. I'm able to start getting users, and you guys could go ahead and add your projects and start tracking some of the bugs. And now I have the foundation to continue to add features over time. So instead of spending months or whatever years, I'm just kind of making a joke here, in terms of taking an application and deploying it, I could do it right away, and I could continue to evolve and add features to it. And this is something that I'm going to continue to do for this one, because I do need like a bug tracker to be able to track my progress and what I'm working on. And you know, you could go ahead and give it a try. But listen, you get GraphQL, you get REST, you have a whole backend that you don't have to build from scratch. What more can you ask for? I know like a lot of you guys don't share that same enthusiasm for Strapi, but I think, like I said, what I like about it the most, and I just exited all my windows here. That's okay, I could restart. What I like about Strapi the most is that you have that code base available. So if you go to Strapi GitHub, you are able to see you know, the code base. You're able to basically see how they structure their code, what packages they use, the plugins. You get to see underneath the hood everything that, you know, Strapi has. You could go ahead and take a look and you could see exactly how it's coded. And the reason why I like this is because I'm working on it with Strapi every day, and I have access to the whole code base that I could go ahead and like look and learn about how they implement the features, right? This code is available for you guys. And this is why I like it, because instead of just like working on my own application, not knowing what's a good pattern or how does somebody go solve a problem, like what I like about Strapi, not only can I use it to build my project, but I could look behind the code and see how people did it. And to me, that's why it's amazing, because I feel like you always have the complete code base because it's open source to look and see. And yes, there's plenty of projects that are out there that you could do the same thing. So it doesn't even have to be Strapi. But for me, I like it because, you know, for me, like, here's the thing. Like, I think I might be becoming like too lazy. If someone says to me, Paul, I want a e-commerce site, or I want like, and it depends. E-commerce probably, you know, use Shopify. But let's say make me a website or do this. Like, obviously, there's so many different tools you can use, but for me, Strapi solves like 80% of use cases. So if I wanted to create a project for a client really quickly and have them ability to manage their own content without using like WordPress, I mean, you could go WordPress as well. Strapi makes it very easy to do. And so if you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. Yeah, and 100% Jose. So this is one thing that I want to mention. Like, Strapi allows me to bring my ideas to life much faster. So I could not, like, I don't have to try to wait months or 2 months before I get a full stack application done. I could have an idea, I could implement it with Strapi, and I could throw it up there, release it, and get users to start using it. But anyway, so if you guys don't have any questions, we could talk about kind of like, I can't type and think, so when I lose my thought, it's probably because I'm typing. Oh my goodness, why did it log me out? Log me back in, sign in with Google. So, a couple of streams ago, I had a really good stream about planning and talking about why planning is important. And that video, for some reason, got deleted or made private because I think some idiot like me played some copyrighted music when he shouldn't have, by accident, because he wasn't paying attention to his Spotify playlist, which should be playing copyright-free music. But a couple of streams ago, so we talked about Strapi, and we'll get back to it because we're going to be building an application with Strapi. But one thing that I want to talk about is something that and this is not perfect by any means, but this idea that you guys, whenever you're looking to build a project, and maybe a lot of you guys know this, but one of the most important things you guys need to do before you start coding is to actually plan out your application. And let me answer Jose's question first. So do you need React to be able to work with Strapi? No, you don't. You could actually, like, Strapi is agnostic to whatever library you decide to use. So you could use JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. You could use React. You could use Next.js. You could use Angular. You could pretty much use any, you could use Vue.js. So you could use any front-end library or language that you like to power Strapi. But so that's why I like it, because so I'll kind of quickly, let me see here. I just show you a cool example here. So here's my Next.js website, right? And it's pulling data from the same API, Strapi API, and you could tell because of these entries. You see this? Is the same API that is also being used in our community one project here. I don't know why I went to blog. So if I go home, so as you can see this is a totally different project. This is built with React.js, and so it's pulling the same data that this API is pulling from this API. So basically I have one Strapi API, but I have two different applications. This is going to be the front-facing website for the Dev Hunt community that I'm building. And so this will show like the blog post, the different projects that people are working, but it's not going to have an active way for you to manage your projects. That would be our backend, not backend, but our dashboard application, which is going to be this one, where you'll be able to log in as a developer. You'll be able to keep track of bugs. You'll be able to add comments, right? And stuff like that. And what's cool is that by using Strapi, number one, I don't have to waste my time trying to build a backend from scratch, because I'm only one man and I don't have time to do everything that I want. And so I have to kind of make compromises. And for a lot of my personal projects where I just want to get the idea out there rather than trying to develop every feature from scratch, I'll just use Strapi. And then my favorite framework for front end being Next.js with Tailwind, or React with maybe React Bootstrap and style components. And this is why I really like Strapi, is because like I had two different ideas. I'm like, oh, let me build this application to manage the projects that I'm working on. And then I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have a blog that showcases all the different projects and more of a blogging site with good SEO. So I'm like, hey, I could use Next.js for this project, and for this one I could use React. And if I wanted to make a mobile app companion app using React Native, I could hit the same Strapi API that I like. So you're not limited in what you use. You could make a mobile app and have it powered by Strapi too if you wanted. So yeah, definitely pretty awesome. But let me come back to this diagram. So here's one thing, like pro tip. Let's get into our tip section of this video. I'm going to start doing like a little bit of coding. I got to get better with my live streams. I think I'm going to have like a more thought out kind of session where we talk about code and then some sort of tip that could be useful for you. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys do this. By the way, if you haven't smashed the like button, you don't have to. Don't worry about it. But here's the thing, when you're working on a project, especially, and maybe you guys don't make this rookie mistake anymore, but a lot of us, when we're starting out coding, right, we just get into VS Code, we open VS Code and we start coding. We just start typing, and half the time we don't even know what we're typing. And the reason why that's an issue is because coding is a tool that you use to get the job done, but thinking about the steps, thinking about the process, thinking about what the app should do, you don't solve that in code. You got to solve that ahead of time. So your pro tip for today is plan out, and you could plan out in many different ways. Here's one of the things that I started to do is plan out a general workflow of the action that you want people to take and the logic that you have to write. And so for me, I was working on the login and working on this idea of, okay, if you're logged in, if you have an account, you should be able to log in. Great. If you don't have an account, then you should be able to create an account. And if you have an account but you don't remember a password, you should kind of be able to create a password, or not create your password, but do forgot password. And this is what we're going to do on the next stream. But I wanted to kind of show you that before even thinking about going into the code editor and start coding, is make a workflow of what you want to accomplish here. Oh wow, this is kind of cool. I'm still learning how to use this application. So here we go. So I planned the steps out, and then now it's much easier for me to implement what I want to do. For instance, like I don't have a login page. I guess this is where we would start. So once you're on the login page, what options should the client have? Well, do they have an account, right? Yes, they have an account. So do they know their password? Yes, they know their password. So boom, complete the form and redirect them to the project view or to the Web Dev Junkie, great to see you, my man. Miss you, bro. Yes, Mirror is free with limited functionality, but it's more than enough for me. So it's pretty awesome. We've been using it at work. Our diagrams at work are way better because I don't create them. I'm not a good planner. This is something that I'm trying to get better. But I saw one of like a couple of your videos, and it's to give credit where it's due. I saw you before you jump into your project. You have some sort of plan that you have or some layout of what the functionality is going to be. And I was like, man, it's important to plan. And as we start learning web development as beginners, a lot of times, unless someone explains that to us or teaches us, we're so excited about coding that we don't plan anything ever. So I would argue that something as simple as this, where you showcase basic walkthrough of what the use case is or what choices your user is going to do, and then implement those features based on this roadmap, you are already ahead of like everybody else. But anyway, like I was saying, if you know your password, you have an account, boom, just log in, go there. If you don't have an account, go to register form where they could provide their email, process the form, send out an email so they could log in, whatever. If you want to do email confirmation, you don't have to, but that's like what I'm going to do in my workflow. My cat's like all over my desk, so like, sorry if I'm kind of hectic here. And the point is, basically, if you plan to fail, or fail to plan, I guess. I'm so bad with saying if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And so here's a pro tip for you guys that I'm kind of taking forever to get to, is start, even in the most basic sense, planning your application, what you're trying to do, and instead of focusing on a full complete application, have one feature. Like for instance, here I'm like, okay, if I were to start building this application, is I know exactly all the functionality I need. I need the login, I need the registration form, I need the password reset form, I need the add new password form, I need to send a confirmation email. So I know all these steps that I need to do, and now I could use this roadmap while building my application and implement all those features. And Web Dev Junkie says, diagrams not only help yourself but also everyone on your team. It's super useful for sure. Yeah, 100%. And this is something that I am learning from what we basically have people do at work. Like, I don't create these flowcharts, or I don't architect the application you're going to use, but they do provide, like, there's somebody on our team who's way smarter than I am, who provides the workflow, provides all the requirements. And as a developer, especially at my level, it does make it much easier for me to implement those features, because I don't have to second guess myself. I could refer to the outline or refer to the requirements, and I could start building the application. Like, I wish I could show the application that we're building at work. It's pretty legit, pretty awesome. And what's cool is, I've been at the company for almost 5 months, and I've been kind of like my kitty, she's ready to break stuff, so I'm gonna gently put her down. But I'm pretty excited because, like, they gave me so much responsibility that I've basically built out 90% of the application by myself from scratch. I know to some of you guys are gonna be like, oh my God, Paul, like, you should see what I do. I'm like the greatest ever. But the point is, what I'm trying to get to, for me, it was very like cool to kind of be put in a situation where I am responsible for the majority of a project. And what's cool about it is because you can't like go hide, right? You are responsible for the code that you wrote. And I really like, yeah, it's stressful, but I really enjoyed the responsibility, and it really made me learn a lot new things about development, and this whole idea that I keep kind of telling everybody. And here's the thing, there's two types of people that kind of understand coding is hard and difficult, and that it requires a lot of work and effort, and you guys do the things that you need to do. You don't fall into the hype of half these YouTube videos that you see. You just like, you know what, I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to struggle through what I need to struggle. I'm going to learn what I need to learn, and you guys are going to do the work. But for some ungodly reason, there are people out there who watch some video and it's like how to become a Python developer in 30 days and make $1 million. And you assume that if you take that one course, if you do this one thing, if you swallow this easy pill, if you will get the job. But that's not the reality. And the reality is, as a developer, you need to be able to deliver, and you have to be able to do the work. And this is why I have this Tuesday night live stream, and we will get back to coding. I'm just kind of warming myself back into live streams. Like, as you could tell, I wasn't as prepared. We could do some coding as well. But the point that I'm saying is, all of you guys have to be building stuff from scratch, because you need to work your problem solving part of your brain by creating stuff from scratch, running into problems and solving those problems. And this is how you start moving from super junior developer to much more, intermediate level developer and beyond. And this is kind of like why I always tell people, like, you got to be coding, got to be building projects. And if I look around and I look at people's portfolios or GitHub, and a lot of people have like 1,000 unfinished projects, right? And they don't have anything complete because they start a project, they hit a snag, and they like scrap it instead of trying to work through it, and they move on to something else. So this is, by the way, why I like Strapi a lot, because I don't have to focus on all of development, right? I could have a simple content management system with Strapi. I could customize it as far as I want to, but I don't have to. And I could focus on one part of my application, which is the front end, functionality, and have it be powered by Strapi. I don't have to take on the full responsibility of building an application from scratch. And I've been working as a developer for almost 4 years, and most of my development has been 70% front end and 30% back end, and until recently, and now it's like literally 50-50 because I'm transitioning into full stack. But I didn't start full stack developer right away, and I don't encourage anybody to do that right away either, because there's way too much stuff to learn. There's so much stuff to learn that you can't be an expert at everything. And so you need to put in your time. And let me tell you, those of you who are looking to get hired, here's the secret. Do the work, learn to code, and be able to do your job. I know it sounds kind of messed up, but I think a lot of people underestimate what it takes to get hired as a developer, and they may not be able to build something from scratch, and then they go apply for a job, and then it's like, oh, I couldn't get hired. Like, I don't know what happened. It must be no junior jobs available. No, you just have to understand, as a junior job developer, you need to be able to, there's a list of items that you should be able to do. And you should also be the thing with, when you're getting to development, one thing that I've learned is that you have to be self-directed in terms of either knowing when you're stuck and asking the right questions to get the help you need, being able to look up the stuff, but not waiting for people. You will never get ahead in this field if you, and this is a mistake I made and I almost got fired, but if you can't do the work and you're not proactively trying to either get help or figure out the answer or work with your team to help you get unstuck, and hopefully you will. Otherwise, what can I tell you? But you need to communicate that you're not making progress, because if you kind of get stuck and don't do anything, and 2 weeks later your manager's like, hey, you were supposed to do this feature, what happened? And the whole thing that I'm trying to tell you guys is that at the end of the day, you get hired to be able to produce stuff. And so if you're not able to produce stuff, how are you going to keep your job? And this is why I keep griping about this idea. This is why I keep coming back to this Tuesday night live stream, this idea that you need to code. And I code and I make mistakes and I mess up all the time and people correct me all the time. But I do it on live YouTube channel for the sake and point that you guys see the reality of coding, and to see that it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to fail, it's okay to struggle. You won't know everything, and that's okay, but you need to be building stuff from scratch. And so I know I'm talking a lot about that, and it's like a broken record that I don't mind playing all over again so you guys understand. Hi everyone, came a bit late, never late, learning about JS objects. Man, Brian, we gotta hook up soon. I'll be in Connecticut, by the way, for the while, so we'll definitely have to grab lunch or something, or coffee. But the thing that I want to say, yeah, you gotta be learning, you gotta be working. And hey, catching the live stream for the first time, man, that's maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. It's like you will see how bad the streams are, or you're going to be like, hey, I could kind of get behind and watch these live streams. No, but great to have you here, Bang. Today we talked about a couple of random things because I haven't been live streaming for a while. I've been really busy at work, so it's kind of nice to jump back into things and slowly warm up my talking muscles. But normally on the Tuesday night stream, we build a project together. And what I realized is that the project I've been building, it's taking a, if you, let's say, miss like 10 previous streams, we're so far ahead that someone new coming on, it might be tough to catch on. So I am going to change the format a little bit. We're still going to be building the application, but I think I'm going to be kind of isolating certain things. And so, for instance, let's say we're building a portion of, some whatever feature where we need to be able to query a database using GraphQL. So at the beginning, I might do like a section. Okay, here's how you set up a basic GraphQL query with Apollo client, and this is how you structure it. Here's the most common pattern you use. So that way, you kind of, as a beginner, you kind of learn something. So even if the rest of the application you kind of feel like you lost, you at least got a little lesson out of it that will, in the next video, will allow you to make more sense of the application rather than me just struggling with like you guys keeping track of where we are, what have we done. And so I'm going to be a little bit better about that, moving forward, because I want to make sure that not only do I want to support people who's been here for a while, but anybody newcomers coming in, I want them to also get something out of it too. So for the lights, I have like these guys, Black Friday sale that we had on Amazon. I was like, let me invest in my video setup. So that's what I have for my backup light. And then in the front, I have like this nice softbox light. And so the funny thing, Web Dev Junkie, is that like a little bit of light setup goes a long way. So I have one softbox light I bought for like $30 on Amazon, and then those two lights I got them on sale. They were like $99, but for my other setup, before I started out, I just used lights like this, and the interesting thing, a little bit of lighting goes a long way, and it does make it look better. So I kind of, I don't go out of my way, but I'm like, and I don't move these lights, they just sit here, but I'm like, let me kind of set up something that's a little bit pleasant for people to watch, because, otherwise, like, whatever. Man, I love Bang right here. Already listen to all your other streams while building my own projects. Yeah, 100%. So if anybody says like, what does Paul tell us to do? He tells us basically build our own stuff from scratch, struggle through the process, because that's the best way to learn, is by flexing our problem solving muscles. And let me tell you, like, a lot of times, people might see me now and they'll be like, oh, Paul kind of seems like he knows what he's talking about, or somebody might be like, Paul doesn't know what he's talking about. It really depends where you are on your journey. But the truth is, I started being I am some random dude online talking about switching careers late in life, but I started not knowing anything. And if you go on my YouTube channel and look at some of my earlier videos, they were like way before I even had a job in the industry. And what I like about that is the fact that I went from some random dude to being some random dude who has a job as a developer, and that happened through a lot of mistakes, but mostly from understanding that at the end of the day, I have to be able to produce stuff, and that means I have to build stuff. And how do you get better at building stuff? It's not by doing 1,000 Udemy tutorials, because they don't help. They teach you the basics, but to building applications from scratch, you actually have to do that actual activity to get better. And what brand are there for Web Dev Junkie? GVM, great video maker. That's the brand I got, GVM. I just got them because they were on Black Friday sale, but let me tell you, really, really good investment. And Web Dev Junkie, but yeah, and I'm using single color bulb. So basically, what I realized, if you're gonna do lighting, it's nice to have a nice like soft light on the front, and then you could set up some lights on the side just to have like a 3-point lighting system going. But to me, it's like, it doesn't have to be really good. It just has to be a little bit better than before. But it definitely helps. I think like good mic and just a little bit effort on the lights goes a long way, because this way, like, this may look more professional, even though I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time. So that's exciting. So anyway, what I was going to say, we accomplished a lot of nothing today, which is fine, because I want to get back onto normal schedule. But we did talk about Strapi, why I like it, why you guys should check it out, because the most important thing is, at the end of the day, you might have an idea of a project you want to make, but you might not have all the know-how, you know, in terms of like building your backend and everything else. So use the power of Strapi to help you take the idea that you had and bring it to the market much faster, or at least a project for your portfolio. And so if I had to, like, for instance, when I first started applying for jobs, I didn't, you know, apply for full stack. I worked on, you know, front-end application, but sometimes like just having like a basic website was kind of boring. And so Strapi allowed me to make slightly more excited front-end applications without being a back-end master. And so that's one thing that I think Strapi is useful for. Besides, like, to me, like, I am lazy. Like, for instance, somebody asked me, why don't you make, you know, tutorials or like lessons to sell on Udemy? And the point is, I would never make a course for Udemy unless I could make it better than, let's say, that guy John Smilga, who has amazing courses. I highly recommend. I took all of his courses except Gatsby. I hate Gatsby, but I don't hate his courses. I just don't like Gatsby. I like React, Next.js, style components, JavaScript. So HTML, CSS, beautiful. So he has great courses, but the point is, you could take any course you want. But the reason why I wouldn't make a course is because, like, if I can't make a course better than what exists, like, I would never do it. I would just much rather recommend those courses to you. And it's the same thing for me using Strapi, because I don't want to recreate the wheel from scratch. So for my use case, if Strapi is the best kind of product that I could use to get my idea out there way faster, instead of building it from scratch, I'm going to do that. And with that being said, like, for instance, I really like, you know, JavaScript. So I'm diving into Node, and, you know, there's so many different, you know, like tutorials, whatever, but I really enjoyed Koa. And I was like, well, let me do a deeper dive building stuff with Koa.js. And so that's something that's new to me. It's going to take me some time to learn. And while I'm picking up, you know, and learning more about it, like, I don't have the stress of being like, you must know it to build an application, because I could just build an application using Strapi, unless there's some use case that I need to, you know, use custom code. And the cool thing, Strapi, you could extend the living daylights out of it. You can't imagine the type of customization we've done in our previous project. So literally, I have, the reason why I talk Strapi about it like so much is that for my use cases, it's been perfect. I mean, it might not be the same use case for you. And so I like to leverage other people's work when I can. And what this allows me to do is like for instance, using Koa.js as an example, it's something that I really like. I really like, you know, how they've done things. It was built with the same guys that did Express, and I want to make my own APIs using Koa.js. But I don't have to rush. Oh, you need to learn this fast. You know, I could take my time, really learn things to understand, because I don't have a need to make a, you know, application with it, because I could make one with Strapi. And granted, with that being said, my goal is still to become and continue my journey into full stack development and become better at it. And where to get the best Strapi tutorial? For now, to be honest with you, don't buy any Strapi tutorials. And there's some crash courses on Strapi 4 online. They're all not terrible, but they basically just show you the most entry-level stuff. So what I would say the best thing to do is to start with their documentation. And by the way, I am going to release some Strapi tutorials, which going to start with the basics and then dive a little bit more deeper into like the back-end customization, because I want people to see the true power of what Strapi could offer and see that it is very highly customizable, and it could be your intermediate step before diving to back-end, because you could, number one, you could just use Strapi as it is. Number two, if you want to have a little bit more control, you could override the controllers that Strapi provides and write your own custom logic. So you're kind of slowly easing your way into backend development. And you could also create plugins for Strapi, which is basically creating your own plugins where you practically are a backend development at this point because you're writing your own code. And like, this is why I tell you, Strapi, it has something for everyone. It has something for complete beginners. If you're intermediate, it has something for you. And if you're an expert user and you don't want to spend time creating your own API, you could just take Strapi and extend the hell out of it. You can literally go solopreneur 100%. Yeah, and so look at the documentation, go to strapi.io, but I will start releasing tutorials. I've been really busy. I'm going to be busy for another like week and a half, and then after that my time is going to be a little bit more open. So I'm going to focus on my channel, obviously talk about how to get hired. I'm going to make sure that we talk about all that stuff that's important to get into the industry. And then part of the stuff, I'm going to make tutorials, and they're going to be for this particular session. They're going to be around Strapi, around using either React or Next.js. And then if I am going to do backend development videos, and they're not going to be tutorials, they're going to be like what I'm learning or what I'm building. So obviously you could learn from it. I just don't want to sound like I know what I'm doing, master, but it'll be doing using a Code.js. And Ilich says, somebody make me a blog. They have WordPress for that. Like, you could literally just do that. And WordPress is amazing. So for instance, I'm typing so I can't talk. Yeah, so here's the thing. If you just need a blog because you want a blog and you don't really care about building anything yourself, stuff already exists, right? There's Squarespace, there is WordPress. So you could go and set up a blog like I did here with WordPress. So that's like the easiest thing to do, right? Now, if you want to build a more personal project, not a personal project, but if you just hate WordPress, like I don't hate WordPress, but you wanna use everything JavaScript, you could go ahead and use Next.js and have it powered with Strapi, kind of like I have here, right? And if you want to make something a little bit more functional, you could still use Strapi, and you could create a bug tracker or project management tool or whatever you want using Strapi, like React. So here's a bug tracker that I quickly built. So if you log out, you could either log in, you could create a new user. No, I gotta fix my CSS there. Ooh, that was embarrassing. But you could log in. This is live, by the way. I already shared the link here. I'll share the link again if you guys are excited to try it out. And again, the functionality is limited right now because I built this in 2 days. But the beauty about it, it's live, it's deployed, it has a database, and I could start kind of adding features. And if, you know, to this project. But right now we basically have an ability to log in or register. We have the ability to add a project, right? We have ability after you add a project to add a bug, which is nice. And once we have a bug, we could set it to either closed or open, right? And then we have the ability to see, you know, some of the basic description, and we could edit this, edit, see it works, and we could edit our item. I forgot which one I edited. It's I think it's the first one. Yep, see. And so what's cool, in the most basic way, we basically created a super simple application which has all the bugs, it has our projects we could add. So it has full CRUD functionality, it's deployed, it is connected to a database, and now I basically have a project I'm able to show.
on my portfolio, right? And this is why I like Strapi, because I don't have to waste time. I have it, it's done. I mean, it's not done, but I have it. And so now I could just add features and work on continuously implementing those features and deploying them. And now you will always be able to go to this website that I linked in the description and check it out. And like, I hope you guys have a project deployed that you able to show in your portfolio. And what I like about Strapi, look, I have this project powered by Strapi. I have this project that we were working on, powered by Strapi. By the way, like same API. I have this project powered by Strapi. So here's the thing. I already have 3 front-end projects that I could stick in my portfolio that are powered by the same Strapi API that I didn't have to worry too much about. And now when I go applying for jobs, I have 3 portfolio pieces that are actually functional and that could have users using my application. And this is what I'm telling you guys, you know, just because some people might make fun of Strapi, I have 3 applications that basically are live and in my portfolio. And you don't have to have an ego like, oh, I'm going to do everything myself. No, what you want to do is build what you can to be able to help you land a job as quickly as you can. And sometimes, guys, just having a, you know, that's not where I want to go. Just having a simple, you know, HTML and CSS website might not cut it for you guys, right? Because, like, yeah, I mean, it does some form validation here, but it doesn't, you know, if this is all you have and you're wondering why you can't get a job, is because you should constantly, every time you make something. So like I made this, right? I was like, okay, this is a basic HTML CSS site. I need to make something better. So I went to my Netlify here. Like, let me go back to my Netlify. After that, I was like, I need to make something like cooler. You know, what like what I need to build for my portfolio. This is not organized, so hold on a second. Where is it? Next page. So I was like, let me build a COVID tracker. So I built a COVID tracker. It's still not, it looks cool, but it's not as impressive because it's still just showing data, right? It is connecting to an API. You could like select like different countries to get the data for that country. It's kind of cool, right? And it kind of looks cool, right? But it's slightly better application. So I started with a simple HTML website. Then I built a bug tracker that I was like, you know what? I need to make something like more impressive, you know, because I need to constantly work on improving and stepping up my game. And so, you know, let's see here. I'm trying to, like, I have a bunch of applications here. Not all of them are anything particularly good. Just being honest here. But I'm like, okay, where is it? Yeah, oh, did I delete it? I must have deleted that other application. No. So we have this application, this React application. It still kind of looks cool, but it's not really like, it doesn't have full CRUD functionality. Like it just displays a bunch of data and stuff. You could do a couple of things here. So notice that every application or every portfolio project you build, you're looking to kind of get better at what you're doing and constantly continue to evolve by making not the same old project, but stepping up the game. And then this brings us to our Community One project that we're building that, you know, allows you to like stuff, add comments, allows you to log in, track bugs, right? And this is more advanced. And as you could see, like, you don't have to like my applications about building, but like, if you get to see one pattern here, is that every following project that I make, in some way, it has to be better and more advanced than the previous project. And the reason why I do that is because this is going to force you to continue to get better. And so you'll have, like tell me how you're not going to get better by constantly trying to strive to make a more complex and advanced project than the one that you previously built. Like, for instance, I used to create like a basic project where I use REST API. Now I'm like using GraphQL, you know, slightly better, you know, and that's how you grow. You try to focus on getting better and better every day. But anyway, next week on the Tuesday night stream, we're going to continue to make progress. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to plan a little bit ahead, in the sense that I'm still going to do the code live, bang my head against the table because I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm also while working on our big project, but I'm also going to do at the beginning kind of small tutorial where we take one piece of that project and we go over it and really kind of try to understand how it works. If maybe it's like, how do you query data using GraphQL, or how do you create a certain React component or what have you. So that way, if you coming onto that stream and you haven't been following all the other streams, you kind of getting something out of it. And at the same time, when we do go over into the live coding, you have a point of reference that you could follow. So I think that's what I'm going to try for the Tuesday night live streams. And the Saturday stream is going to come back in a couple of weeks. And on the Saturday stream, what I used to do is I used to talk about, and I'm going to continue to talk about, how to write your resume, how to build a portfolio, how to create a resume. For instance, like if you don't have any experience, what steps can you take to realistically land a job? Like, why is networking important, and why being able to communicate better and soft skills are important, and stuff like that, just to kind of help people to break into the field. Why everybody should have a portfolio page that you didn't build yourself, right? For instance, if you go to paulbrostovsky.com, right, you should all, and I call this my resume. I tried to sign up, but it didn't work, I think. Yeah, try again. I don't know, it might be broken. Here, let me go. Did you use your real email? But anyway, I was going to say, like, everybody should have a, you know, basic, like a resume website, right? And I just bought this theme because it was professional looking. So that way, at least people that Google Paul Brostovsky, they get like a professional looking website that kind of shows my experience, kind of all this other stuff. But this is what I talk about on the Saturday stream. But I like to come back to Engine Boy's question here. I tried to sign up. I don't think it worked. Let's try it out. And let's see where we at here. And yes to I don't think it worked, or yes, I got it to work. Oh, the email, you use the email. So let's go here, sign up a user, try this again. Let's try this picture. Joe Schmo, role, web developer, email, some email.com at email, some email at email.com. So create account. So it worked for me. Try again. I'll also actually, hold on. I wonder maybe what kind of image did you use? Did you add an image into it? What's awesome, by the way, actually, another benefit of Strapi is that you do get that amazing UI that you could log in and see. So I could actually go in to my application that's deployed on Heroku with PostgresQL. I could go into my admin panel, and this part I didn't make, right? That's why I use Strapi, because I didn't have to make this part right here, the admin panel, right? It comes you know, with Strapi. That's the benefits of using Strapi. But what I could do is I could manage all my content as a super admin user. I could go into content management. Oh yeah, it's not gonna, you have to put an image. Image is required. I'm surprised. I should have thrown an error. Let me log out. New sign up here. Yeah, it turns red and it's not gonna let you send the form. Just get a whatever, like, yeah, I wanted people to put some image. I know it could probably backfire, but the point is, image is required. So just put whatever image you could find. This way you're putting a face to your projects. But yeah, so image is required. So that's probably why it didn't work for you. But also I was saying I could go and see users. I could manage users. I'm actually going to delete a lot of these. And so, yeah, some email. Yeah, so the only users that we have now is me. So, yeah, the image is required. I didn't want to make it optional. So that's my personal choice. So try it again. Get an image of like pixel or whatever, and then put it up there. Yeah, so anyway, but the beauty of like having that Strapi application and using Strapi, by the way, the beauty of it, I was going to say, is the fact that now I'm able to put users onto the application, and like Engine Boy here, he tried it, some like whatever, it didn't work, and now I could actually test the application with real users, you know, to be like, hey, this didn't work, that worked. And I think I'm going to add a, like, I wanted to this bug tracker be private, so whatever projects you put in, they're private to you, and at least in its initial version of it. And what I wanted to do is to have it, you know, be something that you use to manage your projects, and I'm going to continue to add features. But what I'll do is I'll add a general bug section for the bugs for the application. So if you guys are using it and you run into some issue, you could request a bug for me to work on and fix. But we're going to continue working on it, and I'm going to make some tutorials using Strapi 4, starting with the basics and then moving into more advanced stuff. We're going to start with REST API first, then eventually jump to GraphQL, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to focus on React front end, Next.js front end, because that's what I like. If you like something else, there's nothing wrong with it. And that's it. But guys, if you guys don't have any questions, I'm feeling my voice is starting to go. Thank you for joining me. I know we're kind of all over the place and did not do as much coding. And so basically, if you're wondering where you could find me on Fridays, go to Coding Addicts channel, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Me and him do an amazing podcast. It is fantastic. He's awesome. Coding Addicts YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, check it out. On Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to do these code live streams, and I'm going to make it a little bit more structured. The first part is going to be some sort of lesson where we take an aspect of the application that we're building and we focus on that, like a tutorial for beginners or whatever one thing. That way, if you're new and you're hitting up that live stream, you kind of get something out of it. Number two, it will be the live coding thing where you basically see me bang my head against the table and see how I go and figure stuff out. And that'll be the Tuesday stream. The Saturday stream is going to get back in about a week and a half. I just have a lot of time, but the Saturday stream, we talked about all the important soft skills, or like how to promote yourself, how to market yourself as a developer, how to apply for jobs, you know, how to present yourself and your resume, how to create a LinkedIn profile, something that helps you stand out, and all those things. There's no one secret. You kind of have to do all the things that will all add together to help you get hired. And Engine Boy says it worked. Fantastic, awesome. And so I'm going to continue building out that application features to it, but for now it just has very basic features. But thanks for jumping in, Engine Boy, and everybody else who joined the stream. I love all of you guys. I really appreciate all of you guys. So thank you so much for visiting. And so if you want to see me next Friday night with Coding Addict on his channel doing a podcast, you could also find it on Spotify. Actually, before I go, I'm going to show you guys. So if you guys are on Spotify, just look for Web Dev Power Hour. So this is John Smilga's super amazing web dev podcast that I help and co-host because, as you guys can see, I could talk for hours. So by the way, this is a good place to go and check out a lot of great episodes, really cool. And what I like about podcasts in this format is that you could literally go for a jog, go do some laundry, go for a drive, and just listen to them. So check out this podcast, and we do this live on YouTube as well every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And with that being said, thank you guys so much. I love you all. Really appreciate everybody stopping by and all your support. Luke, great to see you, my man. How's your development coming? And thank you. I am back. Those of you who know, I've been so sick and all this other stuff going on. But thank you guys. Love you all. And we'll see you guys next stream. I know everybody just wants to chat and chill, but I gotta go. My voice is kind of going. But thank you guys so much. See you guys later. Have a good night. Have an amazing weekend. I hope you guys accomplish all the things that you want to accomplish for the rest of this week. And take care, guys.